Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hope you guys having a good day, or hope that you guys have better days ahead. This is Marlon here, and oh, look, what do you know? Looks like I forgot to change the title again. Apparently, there's been a lot of a rush for me to get home, unfortunately. It's ridiculous, but sadly, yeah, I had to finish off work. I just need to change up some things. Alright. Just gotta wait for it, just so that, okay, there we go. Just refresh the page on my end. I'm completely unprepared for this, folks, because I had to rush home, because I had to finish work late. It's ridiculous, because I had too much work to do. But I'm glad today's Friday, and, well, we're gonna do the weather in the first... Okay, real quick, guys. Okay, so, so today's Friday, but the first hour, which is right now, which will run from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, it'll be only just the weather, and then by 10 to 11 p.m. we'll only play Minecraft. Alright, so now let's just keep it as is for now. I mean, because I got a lot of things to do. After the first stream, eat dinner, other stuff, and then at 10 o'clock I return for Minecraft. So what do we have? We have 83 active weather alerts. We have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in Nebraska and Colorado. 5 flash flood warnings in South Carolina, Georgia, Arizona. 7 special weather statements in Texas, Wisconsin, Georgia, Louisiana, I think I said Texas, California, Alabama. 29 extreme heat warnings, 7 air quality alerts, 30 flood warnings, and 3 red flag warnings. Alright, so now let's move on to the Northeast just to see what we have right now. Well, for the most part, folks, we do have plenty of dry weather across much of the Northeast, though southwestern Virginia and southern West Virginia, they do have some thunderstorms there, especially in Bristol, both Virginia and Tennessee. But right now, you guys are seeing a bunch of dry air that's dominating throughout the Northeast right now. I mean, we had some rough waters, but there's still a bit left over. Some swells, coastal erosions, rip currents, and in fact, there were just some storm surges that had happened from places as far north as New England all the way down to places like Florida. Hold on a minute. Alright, I'm back. Okay, so nothing much to talk about here. Now we go down south, where, as you can see, throughout the whole picture, throughout the south, we do have a stationary front that's located from Baton Rouge, snaking through the Gulf Coast and into Georgia on the coastal side and then out to sea. No warnings in the Northeast, folks, just so you know. But, of course, we had Aaron that ended up not touching the East Coast, but did had detrimental effects to coastal areas with coastal flooding and such. And some of it caused a lot of storm surge throughout parts of the Mid-Atlantic, the southeast, parts of the Southeast. Now, Aaron is just offshore. We'll get to that in a moment. But this is the current conditions that we got right now. But as you can see in the Carolinas, there are flood warnings, but they're nothing. It's nothing related to Erin. Warnings, flash flood warnings located. 2 flash flood warnings are located around the Charleston area in South Carolina. Another one to the west. There's a flood warning separate from the storm. And to the northwest of Savannah, there is a flash flood warning. Right now, plenty of thunderstorms are affecting places like the Smoky Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, for the most part, from southwestern Virginia and southern Virginia all the way down to Georgia and Alabama, going through Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina on the mountainside. But South Carolina and Georgia, they're getting a lot of thunderstorms right now, some in the form of flash floods. No severe thunderstorm warning is in effect through those areas, but there are special weather statements just north and east of Valdosta. Alright, and there is another special weather statement just to the west of Dothan, Alabama. Down to Florida, another special weather statement just west of Fort Lauderdale. Plenty of thunderstorms to go around throughout South Florida, especially up the I-95 corridor right now. And much of the winds are actually blowing generally to the east, despite the fact there is some sea breeze. But as you can see, folks, there are lines of thunderstorms that are coming from the Sunshine State. And they're moving outwards towards the Bahamas and out into open waters of the subtropical Atlantic. Other than that, on the west coast, some pop-up thunderstorms right behind it. Places like LaBelle, Cape Coral, and especially Orlando, Stark, northeast of Gainesville, Lake City, Perry, Apalachicola to Panama City, Pensacola. They're not out of the woods, unfortunately. They're getting a good amount of thunderstorms, and they keep on coming. Storms that keep on happening as far east as Columbus, Georgia, all the way towards the west, as far west as Baton Rouge. But it's not exact, but either way, it extends farther than that, folks. But it's quite dry throughout northern Mississippi, much throughout much of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and much of Oklahoma for the most part. No spotty thunderstorms right now, but we go down to the Lone Star State. Air quality alerts have been issued in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And what about Houston? Well, actually, in the right between Galveston and Houston, there is a special weather statement there, and another one just to the west of Port Arthur. Hold on a minute, folks. Okay, just so you know that there is an area of high pressure just located in western Texas. There's plenty of dry weather to go around in both panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma. And we go to the Ohio Valley, where just a few places with thunderstorms are still present in the southeastern part of Kentucky. Elsewhere, it's quite dry. Plus, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, it's been quiet for the most part, but just a little bit of flood warning, just located in Wheatland, Wisconsin, all the way down to west between Richmond and Antioch, Illinois. Then we go to the Great Lakes region. Well, let's see. Okay, so we got an area of high pressure dominating the Ohio Valley and parts of Michigan and parts of Wisconsin, as you can see, folks, and especially throughout the central Mississippi Valley. And we go up where the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, they are getting thunderstorms right now, especially in northern Wisconsin, with some clouds passing by, especially in Green Bay, Eau Claire. It's passing showers right now. But so far it's I wouldn't call it quiet, but some parts it is quiet. But northern Wisconsin and upper peninsula Michigan, they are getting thunderstorms right now, especially Marquette. Sault Ste. Marie is going to get hit in less than an hour from now. It's all because of this cold front that's in position right now from Canada all the way down to the Missouri River Valley in places like Nebraska, Minnesota, and then ends in Colorado just before transitioning into a stationary front, which we'll get to in a moment, folks. But there is a special weather statement in association with thunderstorms that are rolling through upper Michigan and northern Wisconsin and Minnesota. Plenty of flood warnings on the southern part of the state, eastern South Dakota as well. Flood warnings are there. North Dakota, mostly dry, just a few passing clouds and showers, those spotty and passing through or missing at Minot, North Dakota. And it looks like as though they're moving counterclockwise for the most part. And there are a few thunderstorms just popping up in northwestern Minnesota, moving towards the east, affecting International Falls and Bemidji. Then we go to the rest of the Missouri River Valley. As you can see, we got Missouri quite clear for the most part. That's for right now. Then you get Iowa with some showers and clouds on the western side. There is a flood warning just near Waterloo, Iowa. Omaha, they're going to get hit with some thunderstorms. Lincoln as well, but there are 2 severe thunderstorm warnings to the west of the city. And right behind this cold front, there's still more showers and a few rumbles of thunder throughout the rest of Nebraska. Then we go down to Kansas, where Kansas, it's dry right now. Wait. Oh, okay, yeah. For a moment there, it kind of looked like as though something was up. You know, I thought it was my computer, folks, but it turns out it's not. It's dry. Then we go to the Northern Rockies, where there are air quality alerts. Why is that, folks? Well, it expires in 68 hours. That's because of wildfire smoke. Is it coming from Canada? No, folks, it's not coming from Canada. It's actually coming from the Upper Green River Basin. And, well, basically, it's more of a localized type of wildfires, domestic, not Canadian wildfires. Folks, I mean, there are no red flag warnings nearby in Wyoming, but still, there also are quality alerts in northern Idaho as well. Now, why is that as well? Ooh, what do you know? Wildfires, folks, wildfires. But this time, there are actually extreme heat warnings located in the Lewiston, Idaho, folks. I mean, it's quite hot there and somewhat dry, but not enough to issue red flag warnings in the northern Rockies. But other than that, it's quite dry for the most part in Idaho and Montana. And however, we do have a stationary front that's in Colorado, sneaking through Wyoming and Idaho, ending right there. But we go down towards Colorado, where there are some passing showers, some clouds, and pop-up thunderstorms, mostly throughout the rocky side, the western half of Colorado, and especially in Utah, with some pop-up thunderstorms in the central part of the state, yet moving more of a clockwise flow for what it looks like, folks. And there are some extreme heat warnings in places like St. George, Utah, especially in Dixie National Forest. Extreme heat warnings are all over the southern parts of Nevada, especially Las Vegas and the rest of Clark County, Boulder City. But however, there are some showers and thunderstorms throughout the southern part of Nevada as well. And as well, I think I already talked about some showers and thunderstorms throughout many parts of Utah. But I failed to mention that there are pop-up thunderstorms in the eastern part of Nevada, moving to the northeast, shifting to the east. And there are plenty of thunderstorms that are popping up in the Sierra Nevadas right now, as you can see. right here. Now, what about New Mexico? New Mexico is just somewhat dry, but there are pop-up thunderstorms that have been brewing in the past 3 hours, and they look like as though they're moving clockwise for the most part, folks. In Arizona, okay, so on the northern side, some pop-up thunderstorms. In Arizona, more pop-up thunderstorms in much of the Grand Canyon state. Extreme heat warnings are in effect throughout the southern and western parts of Arizona, especially the Grand Canyon. There are flash flood warnings in some parts of Grand Canyon National Park, so folks need to be very cautious over there. It's quite dangerous just to venture out alone and irresponsible. You know, meaning that you have to be responsible over there once you get there because I mean, anything can happen for the most part. Because, I mean, if you don't take care of yourselves and others when it comes to surprising flash flood warnings or whatever places you get flash floods, then you're about to be in trouble. You better know where you are and how you get yourself out of the situation before you even go there. And I know no shoulda, coulda, wouldas in any of this, but folks, stay safe out there. Head to higher ground if you need, if the waters get too rough out there. Especially on the Utah side, there is a flash flood warning there, just east of Kanab. And what about going to California? Well, California, there are some thunderstorms located in the interior parts of Southern California, just located in the Mojave Desert, near Indio, like Coachella, just located east of LA. And especially some pop-up thunderstorms, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. They're affecting Nevada, but they're also affecting California right now. So you can see, folks, there is a special weather statement in association with some pop-up thunderstorms right now. But for the most part, extreme heat warnings are all over Death Valley, Mojave Desert, and throughout the interior parts of Southern California, except for the coastal parts. And there are extreme heat warnings, especially in downtown LA, but the beaches of LA, you're good, especially along the Pacific Coast Highway. But however, once you get inland, even if just about a mile inland, you're going to experience extreme heat warnings, especially in the San Fernando Valley, Burbank, Simi Valley, Thousand Oaks. You guys are going to get a lot of heat. But Santa Barbara, they are, well, they're getting relief from the sea breeze, but just about a few miles inland, it's quite hot. Bakersfield and throughout parts of the Central Valley, California, it's worse there. Fresno getting extreme heat warnings right now. But San Francisco, they're quite clear. They're quite in the clear for now. The weather is dry, but so far not enough to issue red flag warnings there, but still, at least it's a place where you get relief from the heat. Extreme heat warnings, especially in northwestern California, southwestern Oregon, near Medford, and also more extreme heat warnings in north central Oregon and central Washington State, but there are also red flag warnings just outside of Seattle, Tacoma, and just pretty much a few miles inland from Puget Sound. There is a red flag warning in Olympic National Park to the eastern side of the peninsula. I think I've already mentioned that. Alright, so now let's transition to here. Which happens to be, please. Yeah. There you go, folks. Okay. Alright, let me take a quick sip, folks. All right, I'm back, folks. Okay, so maybe before we can get to the current conditions right now in terms of wind speed, wind direction, and temperatures right now, and as well as the others, I just want to point out that that's Erin right there. It's huge. It's ginormous. The wind field is ginormous. It's offshore, and we're going to talk a little bit more detail in about a couple minutes from now. Especially the tropical update. But how big is this? You know, folks, I gotta tell you, this reminds me of the other Hurricane Erin that had done the same thing about 24 years ago, but it took place on 9/11. It was just about 400 miles, at least 400 miles offshore, and if Erin would have made landfall on September 11, 2001, the attacks would not have happened, or at least would not have happened on that day. But I mean, the history, history can be affected by changing weather patterns. I mean, what would happen if Hurricane Erin did make landfall in the New York City area just at a time when 9/11 actually happened? That's a question I'm asking you guys. What would happen if Hurricane Erin did make landfall on September 11, 2001? Like in the New York City area? That's a question I am asking you guys. Now, this is not rhetorical. I mean, I don't require anybody to answer that question, even though it's quite a contradiction, but if you guys want to answer my question, go ahead. You can do that on my socials or even live on the chat. You can do that as well. But I'm just pointing out to you folks, you can even Google. You can even Google, just to see if I'm lying or not. Okay, so we'll get to the weather topic of the day at the end of this first stream, which is at 7 o'clock. Which is after the 3-day forecast. Okay, so without further ado, let's see what we got throughout the Northeast. So for the most part, in places like parts of upstate New York all the way down to the Appalachian Mountains and parts of the Mid-Atlantic, some, I would say, light and variable winds, but in New England, winds are coming from the north, blowing up to 10 to 15 miles an hour, but there's a little bit of sea breeze, just moving up to 20 miles an hour, but winds are actually coming from inland in places like Long Island and even New Jersey. But a good amount of sea breeze in the mid-Atlantic, from Delaware all the way to Virginia, where they're getting winds of up to 25 miles an hour. In West Virginia, also light and variable winds. Virginia, winds moving to the west at up to 10 miles an hour. Let's take a look at the temperatures. So what do we have? Temperatures in New England, they are in the 70s to low 80s. In upstate New York and Pennsylvania, temperatures are in the 70s to low 80s. In the New York City area, temperatures are in the upper 70s to low 80s. Then we go down to the Mid-Atlantic, where Delaware, Maryland, D.C., and Virginia, temperatures are in the 70s. West Virginia, temperatures are in the upper 70s to mid-80s. All right, now we go down south. So what we got? So let's start off in the Carolinas and Georgia. We do have winds that are moving onshore, blowing up to 25 to 30 miles an hour, especially in the Outer Banks region. And Georgia, in the interior parts of the Carolinas and Georgia, winds are blowing to the west at up to 20 miles an hour. Tennessee winds throughout much of the state. Winds are coming from the north, blowing up to 20 miles an hour. Alabama, somewhat light and variable winds. Mississippi on the north side, winds are coming from the north at up to 20 miles an hour, but a little light and variable. But on the coastal side, there's some sea breeze blowing up to 10 miles an hour. And in Louisiana, Arkansas, winds are coming from the north generally, yet light and variable winds are there in southern Louisiana. In Oklahoma, you have winds that are moving clockwise, moving from the north to the west, and then back to the northwest at up to 20 miles an hour all across Oklahoma. Much of Texas, you're seeing winds blowing to the southwest at up to 25 miles an hour, particularly in the center and western parts of the state. A little light, though, with winds moving to the north in the panhandle of Texas. On the coastal side, winds are somewhat light and variable. Just some sea breeze are kicking in right there, just up to 20 miles an hour, folks. Just give me a moment. All right, I'm back, folks. Now, as for Florida, you have some strong westerly winds blowing up to 20 miles an hour statewide, just a little light and variable in the northern parts of the inland. The inland parts of the peninsula panhandle of Florida. A little bit light in the Florida Keys. Now let's zoom in and talk about temperatures in the Carolinas and Georgia. Temperatures there, they are in the mid 70s to low 80s. In Tennessee, temperatures are in the 80s. Alabama, Mississippi, also in the 80s. Arkansas, upper 80s to low 90s. Louisiana, temperatures are in the low 80s to mid 90s. And we go down to Florida, where you have temperatures that are in the upper 70s to mid 80s. Then we go to Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma, temperatures there are in the upper 80s to mid 90s. Texas, temperatures there, they actually range from the low 80s to the mid 90s statewide. Then we go to the Midwest. Let's zoom out. Somewhat light and variable winds throughout parts of the Ohio Valley on the northern side, but throughout the southern parts of the Ohio River Valley, winds are shifting to the south at up to 20 miles an hour. And light and variable winds are in existence throughout much of Missouri and a little bit in Arkansas, especially in southern Iowa and southeastern Nebraska and southern lower Michigan. But in the Dakotas and Minnesota, you have winds that are moving counterclockwise from the northwest, shifting to the east. In North Dakota, winds are blowing up to 35 to 45 miles an hour. South Dakota, winds are shifting to the south at up to 25 miles an hour. Nebraska, then its winds shift to the southwest at up to 25 miles per hour. Kansas, you have winds that are somewhat light and variable in the center part of the state. Eastern part, winds are moving to the south at up to 20 miles an hour. West side, moving to the northwest at up to 20 miles an hour. Throughout Wisconsin and the rest of Michigan, winds are actually shifting from the west to the northeast at up to 25 miles per hour. But over the lakes, it's a little faster, though. Now let's check the temperatures throughout the Ohio Valley. What do we got? Okay, so temperatures are in the 70s to low 80s in Kentucky. Ohio, temperatures are in the 70s. Indiana, upper 70s to low 80s. Illinois, mid 70s to mid 80s. We go up to the Great Lakes region, where you're seeing in the lower peninsula, temperatures are in the mid 70s to low 80s. Upper peninsula, temperatures are in the upper 70s to mid 80s. Wisconsin, temperatures are in the 70s. We go to the Dakotas and Minnesota. What do we have here? Okay, so in Minnesota, you have temperatures that are in the 70s to low 80s. North Dakota, and throughout the Dakotas, you have. Hold on a minute. In the Dakotas, temperatures are in the mid 60s to mid 80s. Temperatures range from 66 in Leeds and Estevan to 84 in Pierre, South Dakota. Now we go to the now we go to the lower Missouri River Valley, where you're seeing temperatures in Iowa. They're in the upper 70s to mid 80s. Missouri 80s. Kansas upper mid 80s to low 90s. Nebraska upper 70s to upper 80s. Now let's take a look at the entire West. In the northern Rockies, it's quite calm, just a little variable in terms of the winds in some places. In Montana, on the eastern side, winds are coming from the northwest, blowing up to 20 to 30 miles an hour. And Wyoming, just some variable winds, but they top it up to 30 miles an hour in some places. Colorado, in Utah, well, in western Colorado, you have winds that are coming from Utah. They're generally blowing from the northwest, converging with winds coming from the east on the eastern side of Colorado, blowing up to 30 miles an hour there in some places. In Nevada, a little bit of light and variable winds, except for the southern part of the state, where they're coming from the southwest, blowing up to 25 miles an hour. In the desert southwest, somewhat light and variable winds there. Winds top it up to 25 to 30 miles per hour in the southwestern part of Arizona. But generally, you have winds in New Mexico move towards the northwest from what it looks like. In California, you have very strong offshore winds. Winds offshore, they're blowing parallel to the California coast, blowing up to 30 to 40 miles an hour. But just offshore, on some beaches, they're blowing up to 30 miles an hour there. Mostly from just north of Santa Barbara, all the way up to the Oregon border. But inland, you're seeing winds that are moving towards the Sierra Nevadas for the most part, except for Northern California, where they're blowing winds to the north. In Southern California, winds are moving to the northeast, up to 25 miles an hour in some places. And the Pacific Northwest, you have winds generally coming from the east. And then you have winds that are converging with the winds that are blowing onshore, coming from the north-northwest at up to 30 miles an hour, but inland up to 25 miles per hour. But some places, other places, just light and variable winds for the most part. Now we go to the Northern Rockies. So what do we have for Montana? They're in the 70s. In Idaho, temperatures are in the 70s to low 80s. In the southern half, mid 80s to mid 90s. Wyoming, temperatures are in the 70s to mid 80s. Then we go to Colorado, where temperatures range from 75 in Colorado Springs to 98 in Grand Junction. Utah, temperatures range from 84 in Logan, from 79 in Richfield to 106 in St. George. Nevada, much of the state has temperatures range from the mid 80s to mid 90s. In the southern half, upper 90s to 109 in Las Vegas. Then we go to the desert southwest. We have temperatures there. They're in the 90s, except for Alpine in Arizona, where it's at 79. Okay, temperatures in the northern half of the state of Arizona, they range from 71 in Flagstaff to 97 in Kingman. In the southern half of the state, temperatures are in the triple digits. Then we go to California, where you have 64 in Eureka, temperatures in the upper 70s to mid 80s in the Bay Area, San Francisco, 100 in LA, 79 in San Diego, 113 in Indio. Temperatures are in the low to mid hundreds in the Central Valley, California. Then we go to the Pacific Northwest up north. What do we have? You have temperatures in the mid 80s in Oregon to mid 90s. And in Washington State, temperatures are in the mid 70s to low 90s. Now let's take a look at gusts. Well, folks, in the Northeast, places like Cape Cod, and southeastern Massachusetts. So wind gusts are up to 40 miles an hour, maybe a little higher in Nantucket Island. In the Outer Banks of North Carolina, just up to 40 miles an hour. Texas, a few places just a little bit over 30 miles an hour in terms of gusts. Parts of Texas, and even parts of Wisconsin and Michigan. But in the Dakotas, you have winds that are blowing at around about 40 to 60 miles an hour. Places like North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota, and northeastern Montana. And a few places throughout the Great Basin and parts of the desert southwest, you have wind gusts blowing up to 50 miles an hour. Maybe a little higher in a few places. And in the Cascades, just up to 40 miles an hour in a few places as well. Then let's see what we got for humidity. Where's the humidity? There's a lot of humidity throughout the Gulf Coast, all the way to South Carolina, much of Georgia, and Alabama. And there's a lot of humidity to go around from places like Sioux Falls all the way to Marquette, but it's worse in northern Wisconsin, Upper Peninsula, Michigan. It's quite dry throughout much of the West, and especially in northern New England, like Maine and New Hampshire. Rainfall accumulation. Oh, this is not what I meant to do. This is what I meant to do. So what do we got? Okay, so let's start off in the south. Nothing much going on in the northeast. So you have rainfall estimates of up to 2 to 3 inches in South Carolina, Georgia, parts of Florida, up to 2 inches of rain, parts of Alabama, coastal Mississippi, out Lake Pontchartrain, and just up to 2 to 3 inches of rain near Corpus Christi, just south of Houston, and just locally heavier amounts of rain is possible. But otherwise, it's just going to be up to 2 inches of rain from places like Denver all the way to Sioux City, and even up to 3 inches of rain in some parts of Wisconsin and Upper Peninsula, Michigan. Okay, but just so you know, folks, the gusts and winds, and especially rainfall amounts, do consult with your local officials for accurate reports. They're the ones who actually give you the real reports about what's going on in your area. This is just an estimate, folks. All right? Now let's switch gears just to see what's going on throughout the upper level winds. I'm just checking if there's anything regarding to the chats. I would say not much going on right now. Okay, so assume that this is right now, folks. So what do we have here? Okay, so we have this upper level high that's dominating throughout the Great Basin and parts of the desert southwest. It's given away some heat, and it's quite dominant, folks. For folks out west, especially with dry conditions throughout the desert southwest, Great Basin, and even parts of the northern Rockies too, and even parts of the Pacific Northwest as well. Translation, so there is a ridge actually that's over the Pacific Northwest, mostly over the Cascades. There's an upper level low just north of Minnesota, and that translates to trough located over there. And there is a sideways ridge just located over the Ohio River Valley. Hold on a minute, folks. Alright, I'm back, folks. Now, there is a trough just located over the southeast, but it's a vague one. This means that we do have a lot of wet weather that's happening throughout the Gulf Coast, all the way to parts of the southeast. And there's also plenty of storms to go around from places like Michigan all the way to Colorado And storms could happen starting just offshore from California, the Pacific Northwest. Now we move. Now we're still gonna treat this as a tropical update, folks. So bear with me on this. This is the GFS model using the 500 millibar map that we got. This will help. This will help us to indicate whether if, there is a strong tropical system that's going to form in the next couple of days or whatnot. Now let's move on to 24 hours from now. So what do we have? So an upper level low just north of the of the Great Lakes region, which means that leads to a trough over the Great Lakes, and another trough over the southeast. Upper level high, it gets weaker, and this ridge would still be over the Pacific Northwest, and another ridge just over and off the East Coast, which means there's going to be storms that are going to happen throughout the eastern half of the Great Lakes region, all the way to parts of the Northeast, and as well as going down towards parts of the Southeast too, and even a chance of storms just offshore, especially in the Pacific Northwest. Now we move on to another 24 hours from then. It'll be Sunday night. So there's going to be a ridge that's going to occur. It's kind of weak though, just located over the Great Basin, a trough. It's going to set in just off of Southern California, a trough with an upper level low just north of the Great Lakes region. It's quite powerful though. It will trigger some strong storms, what it looks like, especially down towards Florida, which means that there's going to be a lot of storms to go around on Sunday night, folks. So, oh boy, better buckle up. Better buckle up. And finally, by Monday night, well, we do have a trough. It's going to be northeast of the Great Lakes region. A ridge over the Great Basins, you can see, especially north of Montana, which means it could be a weak storm just located over Southern California, which could mean that it won't be much going forward. But it's going to be a lot of storms throughout the East Coast, folks, so better get ready for some severe weather, folks. It's possible. I'll check it out. Okay, so now that we got that part over with, now let's check the tropical update and see what we got in the North Atlantic. Let's go back to here, and there could be there's a tropical wave located just southeast of the Windward Islands, and a weak tropical wave coming out of Africa, and a barometric swamp just located near the Bahamas. But I would not bet money on that, actually. But here's Aaron right there. And it's going to be out of here in just a few days. Now we move on to 24 hours from then. Then you have this tropical wave that's weak, won't do much. But there's a big curve right there, which could mean some potential, but highly doubtful, though. And there could be something there, but actually, nah. Not much, folks. Not much. Not much. For Sunday night, well, a big area of a wave could come out of Africa, but we'll see about that. But right now, from what it looks like, it doesn't look like as though it's a healthy-looking one. I mean, at least on the outer bands. I mean, there could be some Sahara dust that's going to kick in, and it's going to get mixed into the system, which may have very little chance of survival at this rate. Not much going on in the Caribbean, not even in the Gulf. A barometric swamp there, but nothing much going on. Then we move on to Monday night, and it looks like it's quite big, folks. It's quite big, but the upper level winds are still strong. They're still strong, but one weak wave's about to come out. And we move on to Tuesday night. So you're actually seeing a tropical wave, but it's nothing but a bunch of nothing but a disorganized system. You know, I mean, because you have very strong upper level winds on the outside, maybe a chance for development once this is well organized. It's kind of weak on this in the middle. Maybe a chance, but right now I'm just not seeing it. Maybe something there, but not much going on. Maybe something, but not there. And maybe there could be something forming just located in your Bermuda on Tuesday night. Now going into Wednesday night, so that tropical wave gets weaker as it makes its way towards the Windward Islands. But, folks, well, it's not much. I mean, one could come out of Africa, but it won't be much. I mean, you do have this deep trough right here, which could hinder any chances of development in this part of the Atlantic right here in the Caribbean. Just don't see it. I mean, we can only do up to 7 days, folks, at this point. Now, for Thursday night, by Thursday night, there is a tropical wave coming out. Barometric swamp right here, which, for the most part, I mean, there could be something developing, yet it's not quite, there's not going to be a chance of organized systems along the way, folks. And what about, finally, by Friday night, well, it's open, but very minimal to low chance of development. I mean, it looks like a big tropical wave aloft, but it's just not much, folks. I mean, hold on a minute. Okay, now let's change gears. Well, not entirely, but let's just change the model to the European model, folks. So here we go. Okay, so assume that this is right now. So there's a tropical wave come out of Cabo Verde Islands, somewhat of an organized system, but yet there is strong wind shear on the outside. Got Aaron right there, and you have this big area of the Atlantic High just to the north. Now we move about 24 hours from now, and you have this tropical wave gets weak, and there could be something forming just located just a couple hundred miles north of Puerto Rico. Could be something, folks. Now, how did that happen? Well, let's see. You got this system here with right here. Then it gathers. It gathers. Okay, so it becomes a system, right? And then you have a tropical wave, strong winds aloft over the Gulf and the Caribbean. And Aaron, gets gobbled up, gets scooped up into the upper latitudes. Then in 24 hours from then, what you have, the system gets weak, and you have this trough that's going to go deep into the lower latitudes, like the subtropical regions. Then you have this tropical wave. It could be something in the making, folks. It has some potential there for development, but then you have some Saharan dust involved to may get into the system. Then you go to Monday night. Well, Monday night, folks, I mean, something could happen, but right now it's too early to tell. Saharan dust is going to surround the system. You have this deep trough. It's going to hinder those any chances of development in the tropics. But we'll see about that, folks. But in the Caribbean, it's quite terrible in terms of environmental conditions. But yet there's a barometric swamp there. But regardless, it's not going to do any good in terms of developing a system. Then we go to Tuesday night. So by Tuesday night, you still have this tropical wave there, and there could be something forming. There, I see a little bit of a counterclockwise flow just approaching the Windward Islands. Then you move. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Okay, so go back to Tuesday night. Okay. Here. Okay, so this is Tuesday night, right? Yeah. Then again, doesn't look like there's any better chances of development from what it looks like. So then we move on to Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday night, this system is good as dead. You know, you got this trough. You got plenty of troughs. They're getting deeper, they're getting wider, and it means that chances of development become slimmer. Now, it's all because you do have you have a more of a global weather system, a global weather pattern, which suppresses any chance of development in one part of the world and then enhances it on the other. So there could be a little bit of an El Nino involved, but right now it is too early to tell, and that is not something, not the type of thing that I would consider that as a fact. But it is something, but it's a guess. It's just a guess on my part. All right. Now, going into Wednesday night. So this is Wednesday night. Barometric Swamp right there. You got plenty of troughs digging into the subtropics, and this Atlantic high that's getting somewhat a bit weaker. Some parts, like the Caribbean, they're getting some strong winds aloft, especially right here in the doldrums. Not much in terms of development, folks. Then we go to Thursday night. By Thursday night, it's quite disorganized, but there could be something forming just right in the heart of the Atlantic that I'm pointing out, folks. And not much going on in terms of development from Africa all the way to the Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. Yet there is going to be a trough that's going to move in, which means all the chances of development could be reduced. And then finally by Friday night, trough will be located over the East Coast. Yet there is going to be some development, chance of tropical storm, just located in the heart of the Atlantic. But right to the south, there's plenty of strong winds aloft. But right now, some dry air could get mixed in. But right now, it's too early to tell. I mean, based at this rate, it doesn't look like as though that this system could be a threat to land for the most part. I mean, you get this giant scoop ready to take this system out of here. It's not going to be a strong storm on its own. All right, now let's check what's going on in terms of the tropics using the National Hurricane Center. So what do we have here? We have post-tropical cyclone Erin, and we're going to use the cone. And what we have here is that right now it is it's got maximum sustained winds at 90 miles an hour, still Category 1 hurricane, but it just lost its tropical characteristics about a while ago. But its movement is east-northeast at 33 miles an hour. And this was as of 5 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. It's at 40 north, 59.7 west. And it's moving into the direction of Iceland and the British Isles. And it will downgrade into a tropical storm right just after the weekend is over. But elsewhere in the Atlantic, so we do have a chance of development just located just to the northeast of the Caribbean, in the Windward Islands. 80% chance of development within 48 hours, 90% chance of development within 7 days. And where's that direction going to be located? It's going to move toward the east side of Bermuda, but won't be a thing throughout much of the East Coast. But in terms of strengthening, well, plenty of warm waters, but however, it's a bit far from the Gulf Stream. Erin may have just sucked it all up, and now it's on its way out of here. And this system right here, well, not much I can say about this system. It could affect Bermuda, but not much I can say that would be a real threat to the U.S. mainland. But yeah, 40% chance of development within the next 7 days, but 30% chance within 48 hours. It's moving to the direction towards the Windward Islands to enter the Caribbean. But however, I'm not gonna be too confident about this, folks. But however, just because of what I said today doesn't really mean that it'll be guaranteed. This is just what I'm gathering in terms of getting the models and trying to analyze them. But right now, it's all just it's just a hypothesis. It's nothing but a bunch of hypotheses for each system. But for the most part, I mean, it's there, folks. But I just don't think there is going to be much threat to the U.S. mainland in the next probably about a week or two. But time will tell, folks. Especially the changes in the forecast just in the days ahead. But this is what you guys are getting for the most part. All right. Now, before we get to the 3-day forecast, let's see what we got. Let me see. Is there anything else that I can point to? Well, any names? Any names? Yeah, I'm actually looking for this, folks, just so you know. Any names? It's funny, just for me to say that type of thing, Alright. I could try here for the most part. Well, this is Erin right now. I mean, it's at 957 millibars. Still category 1, but it's actually a post-tropical cyclone, so that part is gone. Now, what about 90L? It is tropical depression. Invest 90L. It has 25 mile per hour winds with a barometric pressure of 1,014 hectopascals. And from what it looks like, it doesn't have a projected path at this point because right now it's not yet a tropical storm. 99L right behind the system, and it's got 25 miles per hour, 1,011 millibars or hectopascals. And I mean, based on the path, it came from Africa, but right now I'm just not really seeing any potential at this point, folks. Now let's go ahead and see what we got in terms of the waves. Okay, so waves. Well, up to 6 feet of waves, and plenty of strong waves in places like Cape Cod. Yeah, up to about 8 feet on shore. Yeah, pretty much there are a lot of strong waves in places as far south as Boca Raton, Florida, all the way to the Canadian border, but there's a lot of strong waves in places like Nova Scotia. Swells. Yeah, a lot of swells are present throughout much of the East Coast right now. All because of Erin and its remnants. The seawater temperature, well, for the most part, I mean, temperatures in the water, they are in the 80s right now. But the Gulf, Yeah, they're ancient, close to 90. If any tropical system were to form there, it would be hell on Earth. Right now, it's nothing but mid 80s throughout much of the Atlantic. All right, folks. Now let's switch gears to here right now. Okay, it is 7:01 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Welcome to the stream for those of you just tuning in. My name is Marlon. This is the national weather discussion plus tropical update, folks. And I gotta say, well, I made it past 7 p.m., but we're still gonna do the 3-day forecast. So here we go. We're going to use this model right here, which is here. We're going to see what the temperature's like for tomorrow morning all over the United States. I clicked the dew point by mistake. Okay, so where are the warm lows? Warm lows are in Florida, parts of Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, desert Southwest, Central Valley, California. Chilly lows are in the Rockies and even a few parts in the Adirondacks. Oh yeah, more chilly lows in the northern plains, as you can see. Whew. Now let's check for any heat waves for tomorrow night. And by tomorrow night, it's located in Texas, in the lower Mississippi Valley, desert Southwest, much of the Great Basin, Pacific Northwest, California. They're getting a lot of heat. It's quite chilly in the northern Great Lakes region, upper Mississippi Valley, like Minnesota, especially in the Colorado Rockies. Now, what about Sunday morning? Warm lows are in Florida, desert Southwest. Chilly lows are in the Rockies. Northern Plains, the upper to mid-Mississippi Valley, parts of the Great Lakes region. Ooh, it's quite cold. Yep, that's when you get fall coming, folks. Believe me, once temperatures get colder and sunlight becomes less and less in terms of the length of time per day, that's when you see the leaves start to change, folks. So this summer will be over. That's unfortunate, folks. Unfortunate. Even for me, because, I really could have had something. I could have done more. Could have done more this summer, but unfortunately, it is the way it is. Now, what about by Sunday night? Plenty of heat in Texas and much of the Gulf Coast, desert Southwest, California, parts of the Great Basin, parts of the Pacific Northwest too, parts of Idaho. Chilly temperatures, chilly highs in the upper Mississippi Valley, northern Great Lakes region. Now, what about for Monday morning? Where are the warm lows? They're in Florida, parts of Texas, Louisiana, desert Southwest. Where are the chilly lows? They are in the Rockies, the northern plains, lower to mid-Mississippi Valley, much of the Great Lakes region. Oh boy, and it gets super cold in Minnesota and Iowa. Oh, better get those jackets, folks. Even though it'll still be August. Damn. Why? Ah. And finally, by Monday night, where's the heat? Heat's in much of Texas, but yet cold air starts making its way towards Oklahoma and in the northern tip of the panhandle of Texas. But yet the heat will move on towards parts of the southeast and extend towards parts of the northeast. It'll get hot throughout much of the west, particularly in the Great Basin, the southwest, the west coast, especially in the Pacific Northwest, and throughout parts of the northern Rockies. And a little bit chilly in the upper peninsula, Michigan. Yep, fall's about to set in, folks. Yep, meteorological summer is about to conclude next weekend. Labor Day weekend, folks. Labor Day weekend. That's when we start seeing changes, folks. Okay, so for tomorrow morning, what do we have? Is the humidity? Where is it? Throughout much of the south, the central part of the Great Plains, the Great Lakes region, Ohio Valley, parts of the Northeast, and parts of the West Coast, and even parts of the Desert Southwest, parts of the Great Basin too. Now let's move to tomorrow night. Where's the humidity? Much of the south, southern plains, Ohio Valley, lower to mid Mississippi Valley, parts of the Great Lakes region, and even parts of the Northeast, all the way down to Florida. Some parts of the Desert Southwest will get some humidity, especially throughout much of the West Coast. Now we move on to Sunday morning. Where's the humidity throughout the south, parts of the southern plains like Kansas and the central part of the Great Plains like Nebraska. Humidity will exist throughout Ohio and much of the Northeast, parts of the Desert Southwest, parts of the Great Basin, and much of the West Coast. And you start seeing some dry air mixing into the northern plains, central to upper Mississippi Valley, especially Idaho. Now we move on to Sunday night. Where's the humidity? It's all located throughout much of the south, the rest of the East Coast. You can see, folks, and the southern plains too, and even much of the West Coast, and even some in the Desert Southwest, a few places in the Great Basin. Now for Monday morning. There's a lot of humidity throughout the Gulf Coast, Texas, southern plains, East Coast, parts of the Desert Southwest and Great Basin, and much of the West Coast. Finally, on Monday night, plenty of humidity throughout the Gulf and Atlantic coasts of the United States, southern plains too, southern Arizona, parts of the West Coast. Now let's talk about Cape for tomorrow morning. Well, folks, there's plenty of Cape to go around throughout the Gulf Coast. Some in the heart of the United States. Some in the southeast, especially in the Great Lakes region. And even a good amount of Cape throughout southern Arizona. Now, let's see what we got for tomorrow night. Where's the convection? Well, there's a lot of convection, but not in terms of the severe intensity of convection, but there's plenty of convection in the Gulf Coast, the Ohio Valley, parts of in the southern Great Plains, the Great Lakes region, parts of the Appalachians, much of the interior west, you can see, and even parts of the Pacific Northwest. And what do we got for Sunday morning? So by Sunday morning, a lot of convection throughout the Gulf Coast. Some in the interior west, like the Desert Southwest, Great Basin, especially in the Appalachians, Ohio Valley, Eastern Great Lakes region. Now for Sunday night, convection will be all over the Gulf Coast, especially much of the East Coast, and especially the western Great Plains, the interior parts of the west, plus the Cascades, Desert Southwest. Now for Monday morning, there's a lot of Cape in the Gulf Coast, a little bit in parts of the Northeast, especially the Rockies, Great Basin, Desert Southwest, especially throughout parts of the West Coast, but mostly in the interior side. Finally, we have plenty of convection throughout the Gulf Coast, coastal part of the southeast, and especially parts of New England and Long Island, and a good amount of Cape throughout the interior parts of the west, or rather much of the west, except for the coastal areas of California. Alright, and what do we got for radars? Any chance to rain there? Storms? Well, there's plenty of storms to go around throughout the southeast, Gulf Coast. Some showers and clouds to a few rumbles of thunder throughout the Central Plains to the Great Lakes region. Stray clouds and some showers throughout much of the west. Now, where the storms? Much of the south, Ohio Valley, parts of the, well, in the southern plains, parts of the Great Lakes region, and especially throughout the desert southwest, Great Basin, getting storms there. Now, we should talk about, Sunday morning, where the storms, plenty of storms building up throughout the Appalachian Mountains, upstate New York, especially throughout the southeast and mid-Atlantic coasts. A few clouds and showers, maybe a few storms in the Gulf Coast, in the southern plains, a few places in the desert southwest and Great Basin, stray clouds and showers in some parts of the west coast, and especially in the Great Lakes region, and especially some in Nebraska. Now, what about for Sunday night? Sunday night, there's a lot of storms to go around in places like the East Coast, the Gulf, the South, much of the West. We get a lot of storms going, a few showers and clouds in the center part, and throughout parts of the Great Plains and the Great Lakes region too. And what do we got for Monday morning? Where are the storms? A lot of storms still remaining throughout the Northeast. A few places in the Gulf Coast, a lot of storms in the southern plains, a few showers and clouds and storms throughout the Great Basin, the interior parts of the Pacific Northwest, parts of the Great Basin, the desert Southwest, and just a few stray clouds and showers throughout the parts of the West Coast. All right, and finally, where the storms, parts of the Northeast will get some storms present, especially in the South, Florida. Parts of the Southeast will get some few clouds and showers, a few rumbles of thunder, more storms throughout the Great Basin, parts of the desert Southwest, and especially throughout the interior parts of the Pacific Northwest. All right, folks, we reached the end of the first half of the stream. Now, let's talk about the topic of the day. Okay, so. Okay, I got something in mind, folks, so bear with me on this. It'll take me about a few minutes. Oh, hold on a minute. Okay. Now let me try this part here. Nope. Models, tropical. Wonder if Aaron is still usable. Yeah, it's still usable, folks. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to use this as a backdrop, folks. Okay. So, let's do it. Okay, so here's the question: why do we reuse hurricane names? Hurricane. Hold on a minute, folks. All right, I'm back, folks. Okay, why do we reuse hurricane names? Hurricane names are reused in a 6-year rotation for practical reasons like record keeping, public awareness, and clear communication during storm events. Names are only retired from the rotating lists if a storm is so deadly or costly that using its name again would be insensitive, a decision made by the World Meteorological Organization's Hurricane Committee. For example, you have Erin as of 2025, and it was used in 2001, particularly on September 11th, when it was just a few hundred miles away from the attacks. It was reused in 2007, 2013, 2019, and here we are at 2025. And it could be reused again in 2031 and beyond, unless if it gets worse. All right, folks. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for Minecraft. So I hope you guys are there. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. And I'll announce when I'll be streaming the next time. But just to assure when I'll be streaming the next time, do hit me with a follow and turn on the notifications so that you guys will know when I'll be streaming the next time. But until then, I'll see you guys later. I got to do a lot of things, especially eating dinner. And I'll see you guys at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tonight, which is in less than 3 hours from now. And we'll discuss about what's going to happen tomorrow. All right? Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe out there and protect y'all. Protect yourselves and your loved ones and others. And until then, peace out, everybody. Love y'all. Signing out.